We're on page 57, and we're Breshit Chet. We're the 8th chapter of Breshit, the 12th sentence.
58 is Noach, in Gematria.
We're getting there.
We will be at Noach by the end of the day.
We're Noach. We're Parshat Noach, page Noach, everything's Noach.
So, Vayiyachel, and he tried.
What's the Nachamol? And we're doing it. Yeah.
Vayiyachel sounds like Nachamol, yes. Number 1. Noach received an encouraging report from the pigeon's last missions, and he tried to receive more information about further developments as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So again, we're going to think that this is something that's going to separate himself out from what's gone before and look forward to what's going to happen afterwards. So the note that this follows with is Emunach.
So she wasn't on the thing anyway.
No.
So again,
I want to review anyway.
I see it.
So we see that he's separating out the time before and looking forward to what's going to come. So we have a Menach Hazakeh, part of the Katon. Od, again, with a Katon. So when we see a Katon, we know that there's going to be more than one thing, that this is a two-parted note.
Bipartisan.
Not always. Not always. They might be two things of the same theme, or they might be two things of different theme. But nonetheless, it is doubled. Again,
but Yachel is doubled, like with 2 years there. That's already.
Again, he kept sending out more informants for daily missions to receive additional reports, as pointed out by the shape of the bipartite reading mark. So this is something that, as far as I know, none of the other Meforshim mention. They don't mention multiple animals being sent out other than the raven and then the dove. But we're inferring from Od that more than one type of messenger is being sent out.
Why can't it be the Yonah a second time?
Additional times for the Yonah.
Well, what?
Yeah, so it's additional Yonah. So it's the Yonah are different Yonim, but that they are going out at that time. And it would make logical sense.
So the Yonah is a kosher bird, so there were 7 of them, so...
Try a different one. He's gone his way, let's try another guy. But if you think about human nature, you're locked up for months and months and months. Finally he says, okay, there's a branch. Wait, I got something good. Nothing else. Let's try the other guy, see what else they can bring back. Right? Like it would stand to reason at that point that he would want to do it rather than wait 7 more days. Gee, well, look at it now.
What's the sort of V'yechel? That word doesn't appear anywhere else, does it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. But it has to be Yud Chet Lamed, right? Like by Yishma.
Well, one of the Yud is like the third person singular. Doesn't always have to be, but...
So yeah, the Yud could be another vowel. It could be a Hey or an Aleph or an Ayin that turns into a Yud.
Or it could be a Chet Yud Lamed.
Or no, I was thinking it were a Chet Lamed Hey, like both Yuds could not be part of the Shoresh.
Or it could even be Chet Vav Lamed. But I think Chet Yud Lamed would make sense.
But then why is the Yud?
So he's defining it as to try. So we have to.
Like Yaakov, but that's with a different letter.
Yeah, that's a cup.
And it's not. What do we say on Rosh Chodesh?
I'm sorry, my Hebrew obviously is not good enough to find a root that's.
Heichel.
What does it mean there?
Heichel
is to begin. But
right.
Again, that doesn't fit us into to try.
Yeah.
I don't mean to chas v'shalom misspeak, particularly against my father, who is immensely more learned than I. But when I read V'yachel ad shivat yomim acherim, at this point, that it to me screams out a very different understanding, which is God started another 7 days. The 7 days of Bereshit. The 7 days of Bereshit. He's wiped out the world. You're starting again from scratch, and this is what the Yonah doesn't come back again. This is now the beginning of the new Tchilat, the new creation. This is the new world. So V'yachel and Dav of the Yud of Kadosh Baruch Hu's name. Kadosh Baruch Hu started another 7 days, another round of creation, another world.
And then
Stands up the Yonah doesn't get back anymore. She's out doing her own thing, starting the world. That's how I understand it.
But that could go with trying. Like you try again, a new start. That's what trying is. Different starts. So it goes together even. Trying a bunch of different starts.
So
Each time you try, it's a different start.
The hatchil
It comes
could,
the word again.
so again, the Hashem chal, and God began.
Yeah.
So I see where you're getting there.
Well, 'cause
I
we know the
don't
word,
see.
we don't know this word.
So that wouldn't fit into this translation, in that we wouldn't break up a word group. But again, we still have to find a root that would fit into the word try. And I'm sorry I didn't do that at home, but I will hit a dictionary and we'll try
I
and.
may have my concordancer upstairs. If you want me to go get
I don't think the concordancy is going to help. We're going to have to look for
So you need a milon,
chasrei.
Yeah,
You have to look for roots that
You
are
have a milon?
chaser
I have it
and
upstairs.
see where the word try gets into that. I think we're just going to move on.
Okay.
Shivat, 7 of, with a mercha. So we know that this is going to lead forward into what's going to go after it. It's loosely connected to what comes before, but mostly focusing on what's going to come after. Noach continued this route and waited for 7 of following day periods, including a Sabbath, before anticipating any conclusions, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So the question becomes, the waiting has to include the 7, so he's going to wait through Shabbos, and that's why we've used a mercha here. We've used a note that is still loosely tied to what's gone before, but mostly looking forward into what he's going to discover. Yamim, days, with the tipcha. So this is going to look backwards to what's come before and have a slight pause after it. During those days, he expected more noticeable changes to take place, so that he would be able to abandon the ark, as stressed by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So the days, he's looking for a way to conclude what's gone on from before. So he's looking for an end with a pause to what had happened from before. So he's even taking the concept of Yamim looking back even farther. He's saying this is the end of the period of the flood, which fits very well with the Vayiyachel, saying God at this point says this is a new beginning. This is where we're going to dwell from here on. Acherim, with an etnachta, others. So this is a stabilizing note, and perhaps has a concept of looking up from that. Noach was waiting for more and different signs of good hope, others than those obtained before, which would warrant safe leaving from the ark, as shown by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. Again, he's looking for signs from the messengers that he's sending out that now there is stability. Now there is just one leaf from a tree that's growing is not enough to risk everybody yet. So he's looking for more reassurance.
And that's maybe it's going to pushing it, but it looks like an ark on the top of a mountain, it's resting there.
Okay. It's certainly more stable there. It'd be more stable from the bottom of the valley.
All
than
the
top.
animals went to one side.
It's teetering on the but it's not
But
following.
Balanced, yeah.
It was obviously quite stable because they managed to get out. So the Etnachta proves how stable it was. Vayishalach, and he dispatched.
Is Vayishalach not the same as Vayishlach?
No.
What's the difference?
So Vayishlach means he sent, and Vayishalach means he had sent. He made something to be sent.
So is it?
So it's a more passive.
Really? Oh, it's passive or he filled?
It's more passive than.
Then Vayishlach. Vayishlach is he particularly sent.
It's
Right.
Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I know, but it's
Right.
There's three on one side, three
Vayishalach
active,
is
three
like
passive.
Vayilamed. So it's
Okay,
not by Yilmad, it's by
right, but it's still not on the
Yilamed.
passive side. It's one of the active. There's
It's
three
an
actives.
active. It's an
I'm
active.
sorry.
He
He's
caused,
the passive,
caused
that's
it to
right.
go. He caused it to go.
That's he filled.
He filled.
Mhm.
That's
He
he.
filled.
But he shlich. No, maybe he shlich is he filled. He shlich.
But that's past. This is,
And that's what
if this is a Vav HaHikuch, so the form is
Mhm.
future tense. But the Vav HaHikuch makes it past meaning.
I'm not talking about tense. I'm just talking about
But the form. Yishalach is like Yilamed.
So again, it's an active form, he feel, and
I feel like
it's
Teal. Whatever, doesn't matter.
One of the seven.
it has a pashta, so this is a word that's going to be emphasized. After receiving various reports from particular species, Noach was moved but still uncertain, and he dispatched his most reliable reporter to bring clarity to the state of perplexity, as suggested by the directional shape of the reading mark. So we're looking forward, and we're emphasizing the fact that he sent. So that's where we see that he's sending his most reliable messenger, because we focus the fact that he is sending. Et hayona, with the pigeon, with a katon. So we know that this is something that's going to have more than one thing involved in it, because it's a two-part note. With the pigeon on course, Noach expected to receive the most reliable opinion, which would lead him to draw proper conclusions and make sound decisions, as expressed by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So he's looking for the Yonah to give him a yes or a no, time to leave or not. So he's looking for a clear answer, one way or the other. And that's why when he sends out the Yonah, he emphasized that he sent out, because he's sending out the most important one, and he's given the Yonah a clear message to bring back to him. Yes or no? Do we go? Do we stay?
And that's a perfect question for the second half of the Sefer there. Because that's the best answer
Mhm.
that the Yonah can give.
Mhm.
Is it safe to come out of the Teva? Yeah, because I'm not coming back.
V'lo yasfa, and not it increased, with a mercha. So this is going to be loosely connected to what's before, but mostly focusing on what's going to come afterwards. At the latest mission of the pigeon, a breakthrough occurred. And not it increased to depend on the ark anymore, having found ample and permanent living accommodation for itself on the outside, as specified by the directional shape of the reading mark. So we reference back to the Yonah because it's not a clear break, this note, but it focuses forward, and it's saying that the Yonah is going to move forward and not come back. Shuv elav, return to him, with a tipcha. So this is something that's going to focus us backwards and is going to have a slight pause afterwards. It's going to finish the thought. It did not require returning to him to depend on Noach or the ark, as illustrated by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So returning to Noach would have been continuing the old chapter. Well, it's closing that thought. It's not going to return, and that's the end of the story as far as the Yonah goes. So that's why you have a tipcha. It's going to reference back, but there's nothing, as far as the Yonah goes, there's nothing more afterwards. As far as Noach goes, there's more. So the sentence doesn't end there. It's not a sof pasuk, but it's a tipcha. So we're finishing the story for the Yonah, but continuing the story for Noach. Od, more, with the sof pasuk. So this is going to be a point of stability. It did not have to depend any more on the protection of the ark and the care of Noach being able to survive directly under the open heaven. So the existence that the Yonah has from this point on is no longer dependent on anything that was before, and it's a point of stability for the Yonah. The Yonah can continue to be in the world and thrive without having to depend on what was there before. So that's why that word again stands alone. Do we understand why I'm saying that it stands alone, by the way? We know that
What's
Yes.
that? The odd.
So, tipcha we know is a melech, is a note that has a pause after it. The pause is small, but it is there, so that means that the word that's after it has some ability to stand alone. So, I'm gonna come back to something that we said before about the nature of the notes. That there are notes that tell us that the text pauses there, and notes that tell us that you're going to connect to the word that's after it. And one of the questions that was asked before is, why are some of the notes on the top and some of the notes on the bottom? So one of the things that we learn is all of the malachim, all of the notes that have emphasis and are words that we're going to stop on, are on the top, except for et nachta and sof pasuk, which sort of stand by themselves and are going to keep the phrase and give it stability. So those ones end up on the bottom, but nonetheless they're malachim, they're words that have pauses. Tipcha, because tipcha intimately connects to either sof pasuk or et nachta, so it's going to go next to the thing that it goes together with. And what's the other melech that's underneath? Yativ. So there are two things that look like a mapach. There's one that fits in the middle of the word on the sentence, on the syllable that it's going to accent, and there's a separate one that looks exactly like a mapach, except it's called the yativ. It's actually pronounced like a pashta. It's pronounced like a melech because it's got a pause after it. It always comes before the first vowel of the word because it's telling you that it's something that's beginning and it's emphasizing a beginning. And because it's emphasizing and changing the pronunciation of the word, that you always shift your pronunciation back to that first syllable when you have a yativ. Therefore, it's found on the bottom together with the vowels, because it's got to tell you that your emphasis is going to be on that vowel. And the last melech, the last pause note that's underneath is a tevir. And a tevir is always connected to either a mercha or a darga. Or sometimes it's a standalone. And again, it's found on the bottom because it's going to tell you that that syllable is going to be the one that's emphasized, that it wants you to bring your focus onto the vowelization underneath. And separate from that, all of the melachim, all of the notes that are kings, that tell you to pause, are on the top. Similarly, all the notes that are connected to something else are on the bottom, with the exception of Tlisha Ktana. And Tlisha Ktana is on the top because it wants you to move your focus again to the first syllable of the word, and yet still have the word connect and flow on to the other side. So you see the focus on pointing backwards. So that's a reason why you see notes on the top, notes on the bottom, and the concept of tipcha being a melech, so therefore it's got a pause afterwards. And when you have velo yasfa shuv elav od, then we have to find some way for the word od to stand by itself, because the notes demand that. The notes demand that little bit of that word being separated out from the thing before it. So hopefully that was a useful bit of knowledge, and we will continue with sentence 13. Before we do it, we're going to read the verse out loud. But Alan, if you had a comment, we can go from there.
Just without the parish for a second. What's the normal meaning? Lo yasvash. Like, you could have been almost without lo yasva, right? Is it saying that the Yonah didn't return, right? Or is it future? Like, It sounds like they're changing it. Well, what's going on there?
So it didn't add more times of returning to him. So, what
That's
is...
a way of saying it, right? They just want to say he didn't return anymore, right?
So the question is, why do we have lo yasfa?
And is it past? Is it past? It's sort of what the
No, future.
Kosifa.
He won't.
It didn't add any more times of coming back to him.
That sounds like
Yeah.
he didn't add any more times. It's not future.
It's a negative.
Exactly.
Below
A negative
Kosifa.
future?
So
Sifa.
wait. So
No,
if
it's
we
not
didn't
a
have the
sifa.
word lo,
Right.
if we said yasfa shuve lavoed, it added more times of coming back to him. That's looking forward, right? If it added more times of coming back,
That's just see, like.
right, lahosif, to add more, yasfa. So
But I'm talking about tense now.
so it's a past tense. It didn't return. It didn't add more times of coming back to him.
That's
So
a weird way of saying it. I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's saying he didn't come back.
so
anymore.
what it's
What is it adding?
emphasizing,
What's it adding?
what's it adding?
Pun
Fun,
intended.
yes. What's it adding? It's adding the fact that there were multiple times that it went out beforehand. Otherwise, how would we have known?
We already knew that. Didn't we know that? That's where we
He
live
says
with
he
that?
sent it out, and then 7 days later he sent it out again. How do we know that there were more times that it went out
Like
than
this.
just the two?
Like this.
So this is where we're inferring
That there were
multiple.
more, but now no
missions.
more.
So, and each time it's a week in between each sending out, or no?
Well, that's what the sentence tells us. But the wording might tell us that there's more that's in between that aren't referenced because they're not as important. ויאכל עוד 7 ימים אחרים וישלח את היונה ולא יאספה שוב אליו עוד. We're on the bottom of page 57. We're going to read Pasuk Yud Gimel, Vayehi, and it was, with a Tlisha Gdola. The pigeon failed to return to the ark, and it was a sign to Noach that the great tragedy caused by the flood had become an event of the past, as indicated by the shape and placement of the reading mark. So, Tlisha Gdola always goes at the beginning of a word and has that little sort of line from the letter Q, that little line facing forward. So it always comes from the beginning and focuses you on what's going to go afterwards. If the syllable that's accented by the tlisha is not that first syllable, you will see 2 tlisha gdolas. You'll see one at the beginning of the word and another one on the syllable that's accented. Because this is a small word and it's on the first syllable, there's only one here. Nonetheless, it starts at the beginning. It'll always have one at the beginning and might have more later on. But it's always focusing you forward. So it's separating out the things that went from before. It's a melech, so it's saying that this is something that's important. This is an announcement. This is the bugle blaring. And it was. So we're going to go from here on that there's the new existence is now beginning.
And when we see Vayehi, is that usually a sign of good things or bad things? Like Vayehi b'me'ach hashirish.
So the Gemara and Megillah discusses this, and generally when you see the word Vayehi, it's starting something that's bad. The Gemara questions that and really says Vayehi b'mei is definitely always coming to things that are bad, and Vayehi isn't always, is often, but isn't always. But Vayehi b'mei, that phrase definitely is always in front of something with a sinister undertone to it. Be'achat, on one, with a kadma. So again, this is part of a phrase, kadma v'ezla. So this is a note that's going to lead into what's going to come after it, and it emphasizes the word, but focuses you on continuing on. And it happened on 1 year, which marked the beginning of a new era for the new civilization, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So this is focusing that this is important, and we're going to go from here to what's going to come in the next word, Vishesh Meot, and 600s. The beginning of the flood was related to Noach's life, when the first part of his life and 600s of his years were already completed, as stressed by the closing shape of the corresponding directional reading mark. So the Azlah finishes off the phrase that started with the Kadma. It's a melech, it's a note that has a pause after it. It is something that gives significance to the word, and we're relating this to Noach's age, Shana, with a Revi'i. So Revi'i again is a note that sort of sits and is able to stand by itself. It focuses you on the word, and again separates it out. The sabbatical intermission between the two civilizations lasted a full year, of which he first experienced the end of time, shrinking to the point of the starting letter, Beit, as shown by the broad meaning of the reading mark.
Page 58.
So obviously there's some midrash zohar here that I'm
What is
missing.
it that's above the moon on 4?
Oh, the what?
Is a Revi'i.
On Shana.
Which is
Oh, no.
Note 4.
Between the two civilizations. A full year.
oh here. Oh, it's like a little asterisk, diamond.
Yes.
It's just that's, so that does what? I'm sorry.
The diamond?
So-
I thought it
so
was just a circle. The diamond.
Oh,
It's a
just
diamond.
It's a diamond shape. So he is trying to say that this is related to a point beginning. It's something that could stand alone, and from Breshit you start from a point and go on from there and develop the world. So he's saying that this is referencing, again, yet another expression of new beginning, that it's starting from Revi'i, from singularity, and moving from there into what's going to go on. And I'm trying to derive where he gets the fact that it's a full year.
Because when he went onto the ark, he was 600,
Now it's
and
601.
now he's 601.
Under the 601.
The length of time, from the flood. So it's another year of his life. So again, when you count years for a king, when you pass Nisan, it doesn't matter. You've come to a new year, but it wasn't a full lunar year or a full solar year that from the beginning of the flood until the end. So it's a year for Noah, and it's referencing.
How do we know there wasn't a full year as in 360?
It does give dates. There's a bunch of dates.
Yes.
365?
Rashi adds it together, and it's 150,
Also what they call the first month
150 plus 40 plus 7, it's something like 200 days. So it doesn't, and then a couple of weeks before they go out, but it doesn't add to a Hebrew year or to an English year, to my recollection. I'll have to look through Rashi again. It's a school year.
Sue.
200
Yes.
days is a school year.
I think it's
Or
a reference,
So we
a
learn-
reference to the
a
he's
labor
pretty
union.
prophetic that his ex-wife will one day live at 601. Sorry. It could be obviously better because he really loved her son. Lily also wouldn't like that.
Okay, but yeah, the concept of, because we're referencing Noah's age, certainly years of the king would apply.
That would be a very good answer, so
What's 601?
No, that is because we're talking about Noach, who has the role of king, but the rules of how you do a king in his age or the years
Who said
of
he's
his
a
reign.
king? We said he's a king? Oh, because
Because
we're talking Malachim, but that was the note.
He's the one. He's the one who's in charge. He's the one who's in charge of everybody. Who's
the
who's the
whole
rest of the world.
Oh.
So I think that gives
I'm
him
king of the
that
world.
gives him
Titanic. Oh my
that
God,
gives
I'm
him
blind.
status.
Perfect. Icebergs.
Last one on
I just was
Maybe that was his last name, yeah. Oh, Eisenberg.
there. So,
Barishon on the first with a pashta. This is going to slightly emphasize the word, but look forward to what's going to come after it.
sorry, can I ask something about the note which I just don't remember?
Yep.
So you're
If we
done
look
with
at
it.
number 2 and number 5, it looks like the same marking, but is the